Welcome in, Big Blue Nation, to another episode of the Cats Talk podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Johnston, joined by my co-host, Tyler Britton. No Jacob Boyers today, as I don't want to alarm Big Blue Nation here or anything, but he might be deceased. I don't know. I mean, we didn't hear from him for hours before this podcast, and then he hits us with the news. Our man is down with the flu, so hopefully, gets that away from the kids. He's got little ones. Hopefully the family is okay. Jake, thinking about you. Hopefully you're feeling better. And, the one thing you did, you left me with Tyler Britton on a basketball podcast. So thanks for that. But we are going to get through this here because guess what? Kentucky faces the number one team in the nation, Purdue. It's 6 p.m. on Friday. I'm not sure why so early. But guess what? This is what we've been waiting for. We've been going through the football season, all these negative thoughts, all these negative emotions that we've been going back and forth with. Guess what? That's not all the way over yet. It's about halfway over. But at least we get these during the week to, put a smile on our face because Kentucky basketball is back. And Tyler, I know you were there at Big Blue Madness with me. I know you haven't had the ability to share your thoughts on that experience that you had. But what did you think of when you saw Big Blue Madness, your second time?
First of all, I'd be remiss without taking a shot at Boyers for all the times he takes a shot at me. So I'm just going to say, if he really just want to take some sick leave, he could have just sent an email professionally like anybody else. No, this guy's pulling the classic, wait last minute. I'm so sick.
My homework, yeah.
Listen, Miss Kate's a really nice lady. If you just want to spend some time with her, you could have just said so. We would have respected that. The fact that you're lying about it, that's on you. But, getting back into Big Blue Madness, it was really cool to go down there. And Cam, I appreciate you, bringing me along with you this year again. We did that last year. It was really cool. This has really been the way for me to get integrated with the basketball team and really Kentucky sports as a whole, especially the positive side of it, because we've only been talking about the tough side of it for football seasons these past couple of years. So it was really cool. It was really cool to see the fans show up. I mean, the fact that we were in line to go get autographs from the basketball team, and I felt like it was an hour at a time just going down one side of the queue line just to turn around and do another side. And we didn't even make it halfway down before they even had to shut it down. And they stayed there an extra hour, it felt like. So, they did everything they could to get the fans involved. Definitely some areas they could improve, but, overall, just really good experience to be there. Got to see Coach Tubby Smith. Yep. Tubby Smith, yeah. That was really cool. And yeah, I know you got your opportunity to get your bobblehead signed, so that was really cool. Yeah. Big moment for the fans to see him. John Wall, my guy Trent Noah winning the 3-point contest again. I can't say enough about him. He's definitely going to be a big time player for Kentucky. So love to see him. And then Colin Chandler also getting his moment of shine too with John Wall to finish out the dunk contest. That was pretty cool to see as well.
Yeah, I mean, we had each guy repeated. Trent Noah won the 3-point contest last year, repeated as champion this year. Colin Chandler won the dunk contest the year before and repeated again this year. And you mentioned it, like BBN United Fan Fest. That was such a cool experience, even for us who just sat in a line for an hour. But just seeing that many fans being out there early, I think they started lining up at 8 a.m. outside of Rupp Arena just to get these guys autographs and meet these guys. And I mean, obviously a lot of fans got turned away, didn't get the autographs that they wanted to. But I mean, if you see anything with this team, even after the blue-white game, which we're going to discuss a little bit, they went around, made a lap, and started signing autographs before they left and went back to the dorms there. So I think Pope has been doing such a great job of getting this team introduced to the fan base, something we've asked, the football team to do, get this team introduced to the fan base, get them behind them. So it's a lot easier to be critical of people you don't know. When it's people it's a lot harder to be critical. And I think that's kind of something that Pope has done, being able to get this team loved by the fan base before, we even tip off. We haven't even tipped off a game yet. And I mentioned it to you before we started recording. This Purdue game, first off, you're facing number one in the nation. Let's just talk about how cool it is. Preseason, you get to, instead of playing, St. Mary's School of the Hopeless, like Ohio State's football schedule, you get to instead play the Purdue Boilermakers, the number one team in the nation, and really put yourself at a test at the very beginning of the season. How cool do you think it is to see, to get that almost NCAA tournament-like experience this early in the season?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think this is a huge opportunity for Kentucky to get started. I mean, we talked about it last year, how much how easy the competition was early on in the year. Did they really get a rhythm? Like, yes, they were getting a rhythm going in some cases, but I mean, they're hitting wide open threes. It's not they were no contest whatsoever. This game's there was no competition for them early on. So for them to get a true number one ranked team to come in and come into Lexington too, of all things, so you get your fans involved with it too early. It's almost like training the fans in a way. But to get that feel of the game, you're already facing adversity with some injuries from the blue-white game. So, this is going to be a really important game for them just to go out there and put something together. I know Mark Pope was talking about it is important for them to get the win. Look, regardless if they win or lose, this is going to be a huge moment for them to gain information, figure out what their game plans are. How did they compete against top competition? Go back into practice and say, hey guys, like this is real deal. A lot of these guys have seen the court for the first time, so giving them the opportunity here to really learn and get that exposure before the season starts, and they have to play against ranked teams in season and SEC opponents, and every game counts at that point.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned it, like getting the fans ready. I mean, think about it this way: how insufferable this fan base is going to be if Kentucky goes out there and beats Purdue in this exhibition. The Not like the expectations aren't already sky high. Like you heard Pope in his interview earlier today talking about, we had 27 alumni in the NBA on opening day rosters. And he's like, Kentucky broke the record for the most amount of threes they've made in a season. What's 27 divided by 3? That's 9. Guess what? We're going for number 9 this year. That's always Pope's goal, and that's his team's goal. And I'm telling you right now, if they go out without Jalen Lowe, starting point guard, who you think is going to be your second best player on this team, and they go out there and they beat Purdue to start the season without Jaden Quaintance as well, that's only going to pour gas on that fire, and Big Blue Nation is going to be crazy. And I'm going to be part of it. I'm already probably there, if we're being honest. You know me. I'm a little bit of a sunshine pumper every now and again, especially when it comes to the Big Blue Nation and the Cats. And I tell you what, either way, whatever happens here, we're going to go one way or the other. Kentucky fans are. We're going to be very critical of certain players after this game because, everybody comes in with their preconceived notions about a team. You have your worries, your doubts, and some of those might be proven on Friday. Some of those might be, just overturned. And the best thing is that we get a big test like this to start the season, and something I'm really looking forward to. And, I've already mentioned it once, but like 6 p.m. start time for I don't even know if I'll be done at the gym at that point. I don't know if we'll be done at the gym. And then $120 is the cheapest get-in ticket for an exhibition game. It's 6 p.m. on a Friday. That's insane. And that just shows how much Big Blue Nation is supporting this team and backing Mark Pope's staff. And it's really great to see because, we've talked it probably till we were blue in the face. But when Cal left, I mean, those exhibition games, those games against, teams that you expected to beat, the upper bowls were kind of spotty. They were kind of empty. And now we're talking about an exhibition game that the tickets are $120. It's cool to see that back in the Bluegrass.
Yeah, look, I wasn't here for the Cal era, but I remember going and watching the games with you guys out at the bars, and I remember what you guys were feeling then, and then just going to Big Blue Madness the past couple of times, going down to Nashville for the SEC tournaments, and just talking with the fans and being around those fans, whether they're just talking about the new era that we're in right now, or even if they're talking about reminiscing in some of the old eras with Cal. Maybe they'll talk good about a couple players here and there, and they'll talk about a couple moments, but really specifically there at the end, some of the the culture just wasn't there. Mm-hmm. What I witnessed from just in the Pope era, even last year, there's just the entrance of how they came in was really cool. And then this year to kind of back it up with another sick entrance where they had the stage and then the flames going up and everything like that. I mean, how is Big Blue Nation not already so pumped for this? I mean, this is so exciting that we're already talking about $120 tickets for a ranked team. And to be honest, I feel like it's a lot of the football fans are just hungry for a win too. Not a shot at the football team here.
Thanks for bringing that up. I just went over this on Tuesday. I don't need to. I'm going to watch them on Saturday. I don't need to talk about the football right now. This is me being positive about this basketball team.
It's not taking a shot at the football team, but when you're a fan of an SEC school like Kentucky, you have an expectation that you're going to be winning games, and these fans have been starved really since last year when Kentucky basketball ended for some good competitive play that they know that they actually have a chance for. So the fact that we're going back into Lexington, and this is just an exhibition game, but we're already getting fresh competition right off the bat, like This is exciting. The fans are juiced. I'm juiced. You're juiced. Boyers is sick, but he's juiced. Talking to Miss
Yeah.
Kate. Miss
Oh,
Kate,
trust
hi. How are you
me.
doing?
Even though Boyers is sick as a dog right now, that man will still have that game turned on. And if he's got the energy to get up and move around and maybe down a couple of drinks, he'll do it. He'll give you everything he's got. I got no doubts about that. He'll give you everything he got. But I am. You mentioned it. I'm so excited for this basketball season to start. I mean, you mentioned how bad the football season has gone, and obviously the basketball season couldn't get here quick enough. And the way that this off season has kind of just like kept rolling with the basketball team. There's one thing after another where they're always in the news. Something was always happening. Something was always clicking. And there's some reasons for skepticism. There's a little. I mean, we're already starting to hit the injury bug a little bit. Otega Owe missed almost all of summer workouts with turf toe, and I mentioned it with Jacob. Turf toe, dude. I'm tired of it. Tired of it.
This
It's
region, it's the worst thing ever. It's contagious.
hey, and to my Bengals fans who remember it even before Joe Burrow, AJ Green missed the playoff game against the Colts with turf toe. I mean, that's just I'm sick and tired of turf toe. I don't want to talk about it. So hopefully Otega, all signs show that he's good to go, but I'm tired of the turf toe. So hopefully that's done. And then the blue-white game, Jalen Lowe dislocates his shoulder. According to Mark Pope and what he just said, he doesn't have any pain, which is a little bit different than what Lamont was dealing with last year, which Lamont just had, it was just pain every day. It's like that Jameis Winston interview, if you remember when he was with the Saints. Like, where was the pain, Jameis? Just pain everywhere, pain. And you know me, I love Jameis Winston. So whenever I can get a Jameis shout out in there, I will. But I mean, that's a little bit of the difference is that it seems like this was a little bit more of a one-off thing, and it seems like Jalen is good to go. I doubt they play him in this game, and it doesn't look like they will. Mark Pope brought up Denzel Aberdeen and Jasper Johnson a lot in that interview, so I expect them to get a lot of minutes. And how cool is it? Like this time last year, obviously Kirk Risa went down early, and when Lamont went down, you were scanning for a point guard. You were hoping and praying that Travis Perry would step up, a four-star recruit from the state of Kentucky. That obviously didn't pan out. This year, you're going to a guy who was on the court in the final minutes of the national championship and won the national championship is who you're going to off the bench to be that backup point guard. And then if things aren't going well with Denzel Aberdeen, you have a five-star in Jasper Johnson who's coming off the bench ready to take that role. So I want to say this is a blessing in disguise. This is something that you look at and you're like, you'd never want to see somebody get hurt or somebody, go struggle through injuries. But if it was going to happen, I mean, this is the time right before the season where now Jasper and Denzel are thrust into action against Braden Smith, who's going to be one of the best point guards in the NCAA. I mean, this guy was going to be highly coveted. They got him back out of the portal. He was about to enter the portal, and man, he would have made a lot of money if he would have gotten into that portal. And I'm sure Kentucky would have been one of those schools that would have backed up the Brinks trucks to get him here in Lexington, but Purdue manages to keep him to stay. I think it's a blessing in disguise. I really do. Especially getting Jasper out there, letting him run the team a little bit against a team of this caliber, I think it's going to be great for this team going down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, he hit on it. It's going to be important to see these guys play. I mean, Pope was talking about it in his interview, and someone asked him, what's the expectation for this game? Are you guys trying to win it? And Pope was like, hell yeah, we are. Like, this is a game that we're going to win. But also on the flip side, I know, publicly he's saying that this is still an exhibition game. There's still an opportunity to get some young folks in, get some guys that weren't here last year and get them part of the system and just playing together, especially against that top competition. Cam, what are your expectations for this game? What are you looking to see from Kentucky's side here going in, playing number one team in the nation?
I mean, you're just wanting to see like cohesion, and you've heard about like how deep this team is. You've heard about like how many guys can play and probably should play. I mean, you're looking at a guy in Braden Hawthorne who we barely even mention on this podcast, and he was a 4-star recruit and a good get out of the recruiting class this year. And I mean, there's a chance this guy just doesn't sniff the floor all season, and that's the guy who is your 13th man on the bench. So I want to see that depth in numbers show up against a team like Purdue, who has depth as well. I mean, they're bringing in new guys as well as returners. I mean, this was a team who, not last year but the year before, runner up for the national title. I mean, they've had Matt Painter is building a great program down there in West Lafayette, Indiana, and I mean, Pope mentioned it. I think you saw it in the press conference, how, complimentary he was to Matt Painter and what he's building at Purdue. So I really just want to see, obviously, you want to see your stars be stars. You want to see Ortega, who's a SEC preseason player of the year. You want to see him go out there and get his own and be able to do it at a high level. And big thing I want to see from Ortega specifically, and, I've kind of beat this dead almost at this point because I mentioned it so much last year. We've seen him be that guy on the offensive side of the ball. I want to see him lock down Braden Smith in this game. I'd love to see him take on that challenge and be like, hey, listen, I know I'm going to get my 16 points on the other end and I'm going to get some rebounds, but I'm going to make sure Braden Smith is not the reason we lose this game. And I'm going to take that challenge. Just kind of like, how Jalen Ramsey, whether it didn't work for him last week, against Jamar Chase, but he wanted that challenge and follow that guy around. I want him to have that alpha mentality to be able to follow Braden around and hold him and limit him to his points. Love to see that from Otega Oweh. And then outside of that, they got from South Dakota State, Oscar Clough, which first off, goofy name. What kind of last name is Clough? I don't even know. But, I mean, this guy averaged 18 points and 12 rebounds last year at South Dakota State. So you're talking about a guy like Brandon Garrison, who you want to see take a big step. Mark Pope always mentions how year 2 in the system is a big jump for his guys. Year 2, we're looking at Otega Oweh. We're looking at Brandon Garrison, Trent Noah, Colin Chandler. I mean, there's a good amount of guys this is their second year in the Pope system. I want to see them take the step and getting to face guys that you expect to be at the top of their position rank in the entire college basketball apparatus. It's a good test for Brandon Garrison. It's a good test for Malachi Moreno. Good test for Andrea Yelovich. And most of all, how good is Jasper Johnson? We have a lot of wild cards and a lot of lottery tickets on this team. It only takes a couple of lottery tickets to hit before you start to feel really, really good about this team.
Yeah, you hit on a lot of good points there. And one thing that I wanted to kind of piggyback off of here, Cam, was, you mentioned the returning players coming back. This is a really cool year. This is year 2 with Mark Pope here. He's coming in with guys that actually know the system at this point, that he was starting last year. And now he's bringing his guys, and he's had time to recruit, and he had time to go through the transfer portals. What are our expectations going into this Purdue game and really for the season here, going into year 2 with Mark Pope? And where do we see our team kind of progressing? What pains do you think we're going to have early, and what do you think that we'll be able to progress throughout the season here?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I told you earlier, I mean, we're Kentucky basketball fans. Expectations are almost, we could have 3 players out there that are all in wheelchairs, and I think the expectation would be to go win number 9. So, I mean, that's just kind of how Kentucky fans are. But you mentioned it. I mean, last year, Mark Pope did all of this with the team he had to build in 3 weeks. Guys he had to get out of the transfer portal, and the only guy he had coming in who was technically on the team was Travis Perry, and he was still coming in to be a freshman after committing to Coach Cal. And the only guy who knew his system was Jackson Robinson, who, when he played well, really started to hit his stride until he had that wrist injury at the end of the year. So to have Colin, BG, Otega, Trent Noah, have all those guys kind of be that extra hand out there, that extra coach, that extra whistle to be able to tell them, hey, listen, this is how we're wanting to do things. This is how Coach Pope wants it done. I think that'll go so far. And I personally, it's hard to say because the NCAA tournament is one of those anything can happen in any game. And I think you see that. You see 2 years prior, this Purdue team loses in the first round as a number 1 seed. The following year, with a lot of the same returners, they go to the national championship and just, fall just short. So I think you kind of see that. So, I mean, honestly, the thing that I want to see the most is just this SEC tournament. You have to be a top 2-3 seed in the SEC by the end of the year. The SEC, while it's still going to be good this year, it's not going to be record-breaking like it was last year. That SEC that we had to deal with last year was just insane. I don't think we're going to have to deal with that again. And I want to see them really progress. And once we get to tournament time, I think you'll start to see who these guys are. And hopefully, kind of like I mentioned earlier, which of these lottery tickets are starting to pan off. Sometimes you go buy some scratch offs and you got a feeling you're just this isn't the scratch off that's going to hit. So hopefully by that time, we know, hey, listen, Jasper Johnson is a bucket and we can play him anywhere and he can get a lot more minutes than he has been. So, I mean, that's really what I'm looking forward to. If you're putting my own personal goals for this team, I would say I hate to say like minimum Final Four, but I want to say at least Elite Eight, because you look at the team last year, you got to the Sweet 16, and that was with half the depth that this team is going to have. Now, granted, those guys mixed and matched really well, and a bunch of older guys. You had elite sharpshooter and Kobe Brea, Amari Williams, who was a great rebounder and a great facilitator at the big. So, I mean, it's going to take some time. I think, get used to maybe having some of these games earlier in the season where last year's team would have blown them out by 40, but this team only kept it to like 15 to 20, something like that. But I think this team's potential is so much higher. The floor might be lower. And even, I don't even know if I necessarily believe that, but the growth potential for this team, I think, is so high. And I think this team could be cutting down the nets in Indianapolis, even though we've struggled in Indianapolis. So hopefully we can right those wrongs.
Yeah, to your point, I mean, it's so frustrating when your team gets in. They've been playing good all year, and then it just takes one game, and they're booted out. So hopefully we can just we can ride that train. Everything goes well. Hopefully we get a high rank in there. Makes our job a little bit easier. But kind of going on to that, I want to back up there to the SEC tournament. Last year we advanced. But we didn't go the whole way. This is you just mentioned the competition last year was more stiff than it was this year. What would be the importance of our SEC tournament this year, especially if we were able to make it through most of the way, if not all the way, to win the tournament? What's the significance of the SEC tournament for Kentucky going into this year?
Well, I mean, I think the fans mostly just care about it. Like you see, like the streets of Nashville, like Broadway is full of blue and white when we're down there, and there's just an extra element of like Coach Cal did not care if they won that SEC tournament. Pope wants to win that. And granted, a lot of times now, especially now with the way they do the selection Sunday, they usually pick the brackets before, those championships go off. But so it might not change anything there. But also just like Kentucky basketball is kings of the SEC, and it's been so long since we won that SEC tournament. Like last year was the first time we had won a game in 3 years. And that took a buzzer beater from Otega Owe, which Tom, I don't know if you remember that. We were going crazy. I got videos of me in an elevator going, OCATS, cats, cats, cats. So, I mean, the fans that make that trip down to Nashville deserve it just in itself. And I think this year, especially with the SEC taking a little bit of a drop down, like you have Bruce Pearl, who obviously, left. Now his son, Steven, is going to be taking over. I expect them to take a drop down a little bit, especially, they lost Janiah Broome and Chad Baker Mazzara. So I expect them to take a step down. You look at a team like Alabama, obviously they're always in the top part of the SEC when it comes to the basketball, unfortunately, and football as well. But, I mean, they lost Mark Sears, who was one of the best point guards in the country. He's gone now, so they're reloading a little bit. I think this is one of the perfect times to be able to get this SEC while it's a little bit lower right now. And granted, you still got to go through the national champions in Florida. Obviously, they got Boogie Flan now. They got Xavier Lee. They made a lot of additions, but guess what? We also took the guy who they thought was probably going to be their starting point guard in Denzel Aberdeen this year. And you always got to worry about, the Tyson Chicken Man down in Fayette, Arkansas. You got to worry about Calipari because I do think he's actually going to have a pretty good team this year.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of going back to the first couple of years I was watching Kentucky basketball, we were going down there. The fans' expectation was, let's go win the SEC tournament, but it just didn't seem like the heart was there from the team. And I almost got to the point where even the last year when we went down, it was almost like that. Even though people were hyped up because of the Mark Pope era, it almost like the expectation was we're going to be there for the first game and then fans are going to leave. Because after Kentucky lost, I really felt like we lost maybe 75% of the fans in Nashville. So, hopefully this season, we can as a team can prove that the team is worthy of the fans sticking around. I think this game is going to be really important for that as well. Win or lose, I think that the Rupp Arena experience, people going out there, getting their ice creams and stuff, and really just enjoying what this exhibition game is going to mean to the team moving forward. The energy that Mark Pope brings to the fan base. I just go back to Big Blue Madness and how he interacts with the fans and how he keeps it entertaining for everyone. And breaking off just for a second, do a media clip while they're still in live practice and everything. This is the guy that Mark Pope is and the culture he's building. So I'm definitely really excited to see what he can do here. I'm really excited to see what they can bring against Purdue. just a fan base coming together. Again, I think that this fan base is starved for good competition here. So I'm really excited to see what we can get out of it.
Yeah, I am too. And I mean, think about it last year. I mean, Kentucky was what going into that SEC tournament, the 8 seed, if I remember correctly, like 8 or 9. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but I mean,
Six,
for
7.
yeah, no, we weren't that high, but I mean, there for a while. I don't know if you remember, Tyler. We were planning our trip down there, and we were like, "Hey, Kentucky might be playing on Wednesday," which is never something that we've ever thought about. Normally,
Almost
Kentucky,
ruined our week.
yeah, normally, like when you're thinking of the Cats, you're like, oh, they get to double bye. They're playing on Friday at the earliest, and that's usually what it is. That's something I want to get back to. I want Kentucky to control the SEC, like you think of, like a Georgia football controlling the SEC. I want to get back to that with Kentucky basketball, and I think this is the year for Mark Pope and this bunch to do it because, I mean, I'm gonna keep saying it, and I'm gonna have to find a new phrase for it. Maybe just go to scratch offs instead of the lottery tickets, but I mean, there's so many wild cards that I think that can take this team to to a big level. Like Jasper Johnson could just come out and be, the best freshman guard in the country. Like that's not out of the realm of possibilities. Jaden Quaintance, who we probably won't get back and won't see until December, recovering from his torn ACL. I mean, this is a guy who Calipari recruited, wanted him, lost out to Arizona State. He goes to Arizona State, plays incredibly until he tears his ACL. Obviously, he's working back from that now, but this is a guy who's still projected to be a lottery pick, if not a top 5 pick. And the biggest difference, I think, between this year's team and last year's is last year's team probably had, I would say, more consistent shooters on the team. This year's team, I think the defensive upside is so high on this team. Like Jaden Quaintance can go out and get a ton of blocks, and we had no rim protection last year. Like I love Amari Williams. You guys know this. I am a big Amari Williams fan. I am still waiting to get my Amari Williams Boston Celtics jersey in the mail. I don't know where it's at, but I am still waiting to get that. It might be gone. It might still be in China. I don't know. Don't order from Chinese websites. I mean, that's the motto I'm trying to tell you guys here. But I mean, to have a guy like Jaden Quaintance who can go up above the rim, and like we've gone all this podcast without mentioning a guy like Mohamed Diabate, who, Tyler, if you remember Ortega's double-digit streak he had last year, where he had scored double-digit points in I think it was 20 consecutive games until we got to the Alabama game. Guess who was guarding Ortega Owe most of that time? It was Mohamed Diabate. And then guess what? Ortega goes on another 10+ streak. We play Alabama again. Guess who doesn't score 10 points and why he doesn't score 10 points? And that's because of Mohamed Diabate. And that's who put us out of the SEC tournament, was Mohamed Diabate. They lost him as well. So I think I'm getting myself excited. I feel like we're at the end of like a Kentucky football where I've tried to like spin it in my head to where like, they could win this game. But at least this one, like I have facts to back it up. The football team, I don't. It's just all blind hope and blind luck. But I'm so excited to see this team. And I mean, what better way to start? I mean, obviously every year you start with Big Blue Madness, but there's no better way to start than in Rupp Arena on a Friday night against the number 1 team in the nation, who most people think have a good chance of winning the national title. And Braden Smith, who could win National Player of the Year. There's no better way to start the season than that. And I'm so looking forward to it, even though it's going to be immediately followed by Tennessee scoring 1,000 on us.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that there's a different, we've talked about it so many times already, but it definitely feels like there's just a different energy that comes from here. I remember doing our predictions for the football season to begin the year. It was me, you, and Boyers. And I remember us even talking about it after the fact. We were like, we might just be a little in over our heads because we're excited about the season started. We're kind of doing
fans. We're fans. That's what it's about. We're a fan podcast. We try to come at it with non-blue prescription goggles, but at the end of the day, man, this is a team that you want to believe in. So even if you try not to talk yourself into, you're still a fan at the end of the day. And at some point, especially when it comes to like Kentucky basketball, like there's no game that I look at in this season and I'm like, we can't go win that. There's not a single game on this schedule that I don't look at and say, yeah, we can go win that one.
For sure. And that's what I was about to hit on too, was, hey, like, football was one thing. We were kind of talking ourselves into a 6-win season. And we're just kind of going what you said, blind hope almost, and you're just pouring from the heart, hoping to God that this was going to happen, and we were right. In basketball terms, it's like, okay, we kind of have a higher expectation for this team, and it becomes real, and you start seeing the real pieces moving around. You're like, this is a culture that's going to win. So, we're looking forward to it. Cam, before we wrap up here, I just had one final question, really about the game here. What is the expectation for this team? Win or lose here? What are we taking away from this game going forward? I mean, this is a big game. This is a really tough competition game. Win or lose this game, what are we trying to pull from this game so that we can go win some bigger games later down the road?
Well, I mean, if I had like Mark Pope behind closed doors and he told me like what his plan was for this game, if his plan was to, mix and match a bunch of different guys and get guys in, then I would be like, the expectation is to, see cohesion, see a lot of these guys play together, play against someone else because, they've been going at it for 3 months against each other. I'm sure they're just happy to see somebody else, across the half court line and playing somebody different than, Kentucky Blue. If he was saying he was like going out there and he actually wants to win this game and like that is his main priority, first off, it's going to be hard when you're missing a, all SEC point guard preseason with Jalen Lowe and you're missing a potential lottery pick in Jaden Quaintance. Thing I'm looking for is just those guys taking those steps. Year 2 in Pope's system, BG. Can Brandon Garrison hold it down at center until Jaden Quaintance gets back? Can Brandon show enough to where he might earn that job when JQ does get back? Stuff like that. Andrija Jelovic, how far away is he? The guy who played professional ball over in Croatia. I mean, he almost won the 3-point contest. He gave your guy Trent Noah a scare there for a little while. And that's a 7-footer that's out there making those threes. And he was moving quite well. So, I mean, there's just a lot of guys that we haven't seen play anybody else outside of like a scrimmage scenario. Cam Williams, a guy who hasn't been mentioned yet, supposed to be an elite 3-point shooter. You kind of marveled at how he hit that half court shot at Big Blue Madness and it would just look like a normal shot. I mean, just walked right into it, just drained it. You could tell he had nothing but confidence in that shot. And I mean, that's a guy we just now mentioned him this late in the podcast. We're 32 minutes into this, and we're just now mentioning Cam Williams. The depth of this team, I think, is incredible. But I don't know if I can give you my expectations on what to do with this because I don't know what Mark Pope's really wanting to get out of this. He mentioned he wants to get a lot of data points, which obviously with how smart he is, he's going to get a lot of data points out of this. But I'd love to know what those are and what he's looking for because it helped our podcast out a little bit too. Maybe, give me a little inside scoop. Give me a little something.
Sure. I'm excited as well, Cam. To your point, we can go on this all day. Look at, like I said, we're excited for this. I'm excited to see what our guys can do. And kind of going back to that 3-point shot, that half-court shot you're talking about, I don't think it was just him that would have had confidence in that shot. I almost feel like just the energy that I'm getting from this team.
Dude, the whole team had confidence.
I feel like anybody would have had it. Yeah, you could have handed the ball to the worst player on the team and said, hey, make this shot for this fan. And he would have done it. It would have been lights out.
I don't know about that. I think everybody had confidence that Cam was going to knock that down. I think they've seen it multiple times. And the effort and the ease in which he just pulled up from half court was incredible. Like we saw that guy that was the fan. What did he take, like 4 shots? And I don't even know if he ended up getting it to the backboard.
Poor guy, he was losing out on money left and right because Mark Pope was like, "I'm putting this up.
It was a tough look for him, but in front of 20-something thousand fans, everybody might tense up a little bit. Hopefully,
I would have drained it, no problem.
I think the guy ended up getting some money because Cam hit that shot, so he got something out of it. So I'm sure he's happy that Cam hit that. But I mean, Tyler, obviously, we can't really put score predictions on this, and I don't even know what it would be. I've seen some of these exhibition games going around, and you're seeing teams score 90 to 80 something. I don't know if it's going to be that high scoring. I don't know if the defense is going to be that intentional. I don't know if we're going to be trying a lot of different looks, but I do kind of expect this to be a high scoring game, and I would love to see Otega Oweh be the best player on the court in this game because if he is, that means he's better than Braden Smith. And if he's better than Braden Smith this season, I think this team can go very far. But before we sign off of here, because Tyler, you were not here on Tuesday. We did not get your Kentucky versus Tennessee football prediction. What do you got for Big Blue Nation? What do you think the Cats are going to lose by and why?
Who said that they were going to lose this weekend?
You're
putting words in my mouth.
Don't beat around the bush. Go ahead and tell me. What is it?
I mean, look, Kentucky's offense has been playing a lot better here as of late.
Yes.
I
Yep.
feel like their offense has been moving the ball. They've been throwing the ball, which was really, I mean, light and day different from what we were talking about the first couple weeks. So, excited to see that. Um, Seth Seth McGowan, is he playing?
It's still questionable up in the air as of now, which would change my result by a lot too. So
Just with him being a question mark, I mean, you never know what you're going to get with Tennessee. Not right now.
you know what you're going to get with Tennessee. They're the third highest scoring offense in the country. They're going to put up a lot of points, and you just better put up some points to go with it.
I'm going to have to guess that Tennessee is going to put up about 33, 34 points against us, and we're just not going to be able to compete. So I'm going to give a final score prediction. Kentucky, they've been moving the ball better. I'm going to give them 20 this week to 33 Tennessee. How far away was I from Boyers?
Boyers went 41-20, so you guys had Kentucky scoring the exact same amount. I mean, we were all right in that same ballpark. I had Kentucky actually covering the spread. I think, and granted, this is if a huge if they go up tempo like they did last week. Which, Tyler, first off, they ran almost 80 plays on offense last week, which is
Unheard of.
insane for a Kentucky team. Like, where did this come from? Did they
I
let
would love to
Bush?
know when the last time that's happened in Kentucky football.
It was 2021 with Will Levis. So, and guess what? An NFL head coach was roaming the sidelines in Liam Cohen. So that was the last time that has happened. So I had them losing 31-24. I think there's a chance Kentucky can keep this close. But, I mean, they have to play that up-tempo offense. But, guys, I'm not going to bore you with the Kentucky football talk. Go check out our podcast on Tuesday that we had. It's basketball season. It's basketball season. That's all I got to say. Granted, trust me, I'm still all in on the football team. I'm still going to give you everything I got for them. I'm going to be sitting there watching this Kentucky-Tennessee game, breaking with each way the ball bounces. But I'm really going to be locked into this game on Friday. And I know, Tyler, you and I will be sitting here watching this game. It's at 6 on SEC Network, so hopefully you guys can get out there and watch it if you can't get to the game. But follow us, Cats Talk Podcast, on Instagram, on X, on TikTok. We're everywhere. Doing a pretty good job. I think our content's getting a little bit better. We're starting to see a little bit of reels, some clickbait reels. Some people are taking the bait, Tom. We're out there bait dangling a little bit for some people. They're taking some of the bait. But follow us where you get your podcast as well. Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, YouTube's where we do most of our work. Tyler, you got anything to tell the people of Big Blue Nation before we sign off of here? Because we play the number one team in the country tomorrow. Anything to hype them up? What do you got? Hype up Big Blue Nation and sign us off, and we'll get out of here.
Trent Noah is going to have the game of his life, and he's going to be tomorrow's MVP. I'm hyped up about that. I'm excited because I've been calling it. This is his moment to shine. He's going to do it.
Trust me, hey, everybody has loved what Trent Noah has done this offseason. Supposedly this kid cannot miss, but I hope we're not putting too much pressure on the kid because that's
I've been doing it, and it's been working. It's been working.
That is a lot of pressure to put on a sophomore going against the number one team in the country, but I hope Tyler just called it right there. You know what? Actually, before we get out of here, Tyler, pick the MVP for the game tomorrow. Is yours going to be Trent Noah? I've got mine if you want me to go ahead and go with mine and give you a little bit more time here.
Go ahead.
See, this is where I think having that NCAA tournament experience is really going to help us out here. And I think he's going to show Big Blue Nation, like, hey, listen, I know Jalen's down, and I know you guys are all worried about when he's coming back. I think Denzel Aberdeen really takes the keys of this, shows, hey, listen, guys, I won the national championship last year. Like, put some respect on my name. I think Denzel has a really good game, keeps this offense humming, and almost doesn't miss a beat that you don't even notice Jalen Lowe's not even out there.
Yeah, it's a good pick. I was kind of floating between a few players here as you were talking. I want to see what Brandon Garrison can do. I think I have some good hope with him. I know it's kind of a left field shot, but he did something special. He brought his kid down to the court in Big Blue Madness.
Yeah, that was a super cool moment, by the way.
That was a super cool moment. I feel like this guy's feeling it. I think his teammates love him. I think Mark Pope has the utmost faith in this guy. I think he surprises us. I think this guy, does he even if he doesn't win it, I think he's going to be an anchor on the team.
Yeah, and I really hope so. We mentioned year 2 jump for Brandon Garrison. Big Blue Nation, that is all we've got for you here on this episode of the Cats Talk podcast. Next week, we'll be diving into Kentucky, Tennessee, what happens there. And guess what? We'll be diving into Kentucky versus Purdue. All of that will be coming at you next week. Stay tuned, because guess what, guys? We're doing something. We got some things in the works right now. The Cats Talk podcast is growing a little bit. Got some things in the works. So
You gonna tell them, Cam? You gonna tell them?
we're not going to tell them yet. Nothing's been finalized. It's all
I
in the
trust.
works. But guess what, Big Blue Nation? As soon as we have everything finalized, we will let you know, because we will need you guys out there to support us and come see us. That's the little tease you get. But that's all I've got. Huge weekend for Kentucky athletics. Go Big Blue.
Go Big Blue. And Boyers, feel better, would you?